Hey guys, this is Brad from Dallas Geek, and I'm here today with
Diane Lindmark.
And
Jeannie Ruth.
And we're here to introduce their books, their hats, and a little bit of all their creative wares. So let's start over here. Tell us a little bit about your books.
Well, I have a very eclectic mind. I write a lot of everything.
Okay.
I have medieval fantasy, post-apocalyptic, and westerns. Mainly, I like good characters, and I like characters you can get invested in.
Okay. So you do seem to span a few different genres over here. Is there a particular inspiration that pulls you into each of those specific genres, or is it just more you just kind of like them?
Really, it's whatever kind of comes into my head.
Okay.
I don't really get inspired by any specific thing I see so much as a whole bunch of things spark little thoughts.
Okay. And for your characters, do you usually keep your books focused around a singular main character or a whole group, or how do you prefer to keep your stories focused?
It varies from story to story. My Stone series is actually about a family of warriors, 8 brothers. And so there's them, their wives, their friends. There are actually 22 main characters through the series. But then my book, The Christmas Hitchhiker, really only has 2 main characters.
Okay.
So it just varies from story to story what it calls for.
Awesome. And over here, what kind of books do you write?
I write historical fiction. I like my background to be as historical as I can make it, but then my characters are all fictitious.
Okay.
And I do write about a single character that's the main character, and then what happens. Just sparked from my weird imagination.
Fair enough. And I see you also have a collection of hats that you make as well.
Well, I love to wear hats, and
Sure.
so then last year I had a bunch of people saying, well, why don't you sell hats? So it kind of got started. At first it was kind of hard to sell hats because I make them, I want to keep them. But
Sure.
but it's working out, so it's
Awesome.
kind of my relaxation. It's what I do for fun.
Very nice. So is there any connection for inspiration between the types of books that you write and the style of hats that you tend to lean towards?
Not really. I just see a blank hat somewhere and think, oh, that would be fun to do something with, and I'll buy it and I'll decorate it and let it sit around for a while and decide whether I like it or not before I finish it off. But no, they don't really go together.
Okay. So you guys are sharing a table.
Yes.
Clearly have 2 similar but different styles of writing, especially within the themes that you write about. What got you to get a combined table at Alcon?
She's my daughter.
Aha, very nice. So writing kind of runs in the family.
Kind of.
Okay. Have you 2 ever had dramatic creative differences for the
Oh, God,
types
yes.
of stuff that you prefer to write about, or a story that one of you wanted to write about and the other was maybe not,
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
It's never come to blows, but it has come to heated words.
Fair enough. Have you ever collaborated on a story before?
No.
Okay.
But we do help each other out. One thing Diane needs to tell you about is how she got started writing.
Fair enough.
I'm actually very, very dyslexic. I
Okay.
cannot spell my own name on a regular basis. It comes all bad. I always wanted to be a writer, but
Sure.
being dyslexic, people tend to make fun of you when you say you want to be a writer. So I stopped telling people that, and then I met my husband, who is an IT guy, and I told him what I wanted to do when I grew up, and he's like, well, sweetie, there's a software for that. And so he bought me a talk-to-text software. So I actually don't type my books. I speak my books into existence.
Interesting. Have you found that gives you a different perspective on the way that you tell a story?
Actually, yes, because when you write something, you're not necessarily worried about how it's going to come off the tongue.
Okay.
Whereas when you're speaking it, you're like, that was awkward. Okay, that needs to be redone.
Okay. So how long have the 2 of you been writing?
I started writing many years ago, and I just wanted to write some stories, so I did, but I never did anything with them.
Okay.
So when she started writing, she was going, okay, Mom, I think you should be writing and publishing too, so I got started actually publishing them. Actually, she's my publisher.
Okay.
And I'm her first editor.
Very nice. So you guys said, told me before that you are both independent authors.
Right.
Do you have a specific publisher for the physical printing of this, or is it just kind of whoever happens to be available for the amount that you need?
We use CreateSpace, which is an affiliate of Amazon.
Okay. Very cool.
I highly recommend them. It's basically you just upload everything and then they print them, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
It only costs you when you buy the books. So if
Okay.
you're an independent looking to get in, it's a great way to do it. The same with Kindle.
Okay. So, on that note, do you guys publish exclusively printed word or ebooks as well?
We are both available on Kindle and Kindle Unlimited.
Okay.
We are not available on Nook.
To be fair, that's okay. That's okay. So you said that you've been writing for quite a while, but you've only recently started becoming published.
Right.
What was your original inspiration to get started with writing? Was it just a love for the written word?
I love reading.
Okay.
And so it's just like, you're reading a lot of books and then you get, I have this idea floating around in my head, and so you put it on paper.
Okay.
At least that's the way it works for me.
Have you found that the type of things that you write has changed since you started publishing your books, or is it the same kind of stories as it always has?
Pretty much the same. I write kind of adventure romance. Like I said, I like historical backgrounds, but
Sure.
they're pretty much the same. I don't vary too terribly much. So she, on the other hand, is extremely varied.
Yes, no, I'd say that your selection it has quite a stretch of the subject and the locations just from what you were telling me.
Right.
What got you specifically to write, let's say, the books that you have out right in front of you?
Well, The Stones, which is the first thing I published, or first thing I started writing, I'm a big-time nerd. I'm a tabletop Dungeons & Dragons role player.
Very nice.
So being with something that I was very familiar when I started my first book, I guess, I wanted to start with something I was really familiar with. But I also created my own world, did my own thing, and followed my own rules. So,
Nice.
but like my Western, I am a diehard John Wayne fan, okay? I was born in the wrong era. So
That is awesome.
So I had to write a Western, and
Yeah.
the post-apocalyptic, I actually wrote that because I was coming off The Stones, which even though it's fantasy, I do a lot of research to make what is factual.
Okay.
And I wanted to do something that didn't involve any research because I'd done so much of that. And of course, it's in the future. There are no rules.
Sure.
So that was great. It was very stress-free.
Very nice. So you said that you started publishing your work about the same time that she did.
No, she started first.
I did
So
start
you,
first.
So you started first, pulled her into it.
Correct.
Yes.
About how long have you both been publishing your work?
Well, I published my first book September 2015, and
Okay.
but I started writing my first book July 20th, 2014.
Okay. And
So I started publishing in about 16.
okay, very nice. Then, of course, the one thing that I like to ask a lot of our authors that we talk to, as an independent author, what have you found to be the biggest challenge to be able to get your work out there?
People don't seem to read like they used to, so finding people who are wanting to actually pick up books and read them, whether it be an e-version or paperback.
Okay.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. If there was one thing that you wanted our viewers to be able to take away about your stories, what do you want them to know just as their main thing when they want to come look for you? Fun, adventure, mystery, like what?
I would say really characters you can get invested in, because
Got it.
I really put a lot of work into my characters, and I love my characters. I call them my imaginary friends.
Nice.
So
That is really cool.
And I agree. I think it's the characters, and you have a lot of fun writing a book. And I had heard authors say this before, and I thought they were totally nuts. But sometimes the characters take over. In my book, The Adventures of Lady Tremaine, there's a character he was just supposed to be a name, and the next thing I know, he walks off the ship and takes over. It happens.
Nice.
But you get involved with your characters, and I think that's the important part of a story.
Very nice. So, as a final point, you said that you guys publish your books through Amazon's subsidiary, Creative. Is that the main place that they can find your works? Is there Are they in any stores? Do you have a website?
Sadly, they are, as far as, I do have a website, but as far as purchasing them, you can only purchase them from Amazon or find me where you can find me. But,
Okay.
She's very good at keeping our websites up to date with where we are and where we're going to be. So
Very nice. Well, it has been fantastic talking to both of you.
Very nice talking to you.
So until next time, this is Brad from Dallas Geek saying, see ya.